The war between humanity and the Zalaran Empire had lasted for nearly 12 years. Entire star systems had burned in the conflict, and both sides had lost millions of lives. What had started as a territorial misunderstanding near the Orion frontier had slowly grown into a brutal, grinding war that neither side could truly win. Captain Daniel Reyes of the United Earth Defense Force had spent nearly half of his military career fighting the Zalaran. He had seen their sleek black ships slicing through space, their strange bioorganic weapons tearing through human fleets, and their silent soldiers moving like shadows across battlefields. To most humans, the Zalaran were monsters. But Captain Reyes had learned something different during the war. They were not monsters. They were simply alien. The war was finally coming to an end. A ceasefire had been declared after both sides suffered catastrophic losses during the Battle of Kepler's Belt. The fragile peace talks were being held aboard a neutral orbital station known as Concordia Station, floating between human and Zalaran territory. Captain Reyes had been assigned as security for the diplomatic delegation. He hated diplomatic duty. Soldiers were meant for battlefields, not corridors filled with politicians and translators. Still, orders were orders. The corridors of Concordia Station were quiet that evening, dimly lit by pale blue panels along the walls. Reyes stood near the observation window, staring out at the endless field of stars. Somewhere out there were the graves of thousands of ships. A soft mechanical voice interrupted his thoughts. Human Captain Daniel Reyes. Reyes turned immediately, instinctively placing his hand near his sidearm. Standing behind him was a Zalaran. Not a soldier. A diplomat. The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall, its thin body covered in smooth silver-gray skin that shimmered faintly under the lights. Its eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangular pattern, glowed softly with a violet hue. Reyes recognized the alien from the diplomatic briefings. Ambassador Tal, one of the highest-ranking representatives of the Zalaran Empire. Reyes straightened. "Ambassador," he said cautiously. Talitha's long fingers folded together. "I request a private conversation with you." Reyes frowned slightly. "With me?" "Yes. That's unusual." The alien tilted its head. "Correct. It is unusual. That is why I have come." Reyes glanced down the corridor. No one else was nearby. "All right," he said slowly. "What do you need?" Talith stepped closer, its movements strangely graceful. "I have a request," the diplomat said. Reyes crossed his arms. "What kind of request?" The alien's eyes dimmed slightly, almost as if it were nervous. "I request that you kill me." For a moment, Reyes thought he had misunderstood. "You what? Kill me?" Reyes stared at the alien, trying to determine if this was some kind of joke or psychological test. "That's not funny," Reyes said firmly. "I am not attempting humor." Reyes shook his head. "Why would you ask a human soldier to assassinate you? You're the lead negotiator for your people." "Yes. And if you die, these peace talks collapse." "Correct again." Reyes stepped back, now deeply suspicious. "This sounds like a setup." Talitha's voice remained calm. "I assure you it is not." "Then explain." The alien slowly approached the observation window and stared out into space. "For 12 years our civilizations have been locked in war," Talith said. "But the truth is, the Zalaran Empire did not start this conflict intentionally." Reyes frowned. "That's not what our historians say. That is because neither side fully understood the first encounter." Reyes remained silent. Talith continued. "When our explorers discovered the Orion frontier colony, they believed it was an abandoned world being prepared for terraforming. According to Zalaran law, unclaimed worlds may be harvested. Reyes felt a chill. That colony had 30,000 people. Yes, Taleth said quietly. We discovered that too late. The silence between them grew heavy. Our leadership attempted to withdraw, Taleth continued. But your fleets arrived, and conflict began before communication could be established. Reyes sighed. 12 years of war. Because of a misunderstanding. Yes. Reyes rubbed his forehead. That still doesn't explain why you want to die. Taleth turned toward him again. Because the peace will fail. What? My own government will reject the treaty. Reyes blinked. Why? Because too many Zalaran leaders demand vengeance. Reyes had heard similar arguments from human commanders. So you're saying the war continues? Yes. Reyes shook his head. So again, why should I kill you? Taleth stepped closer. In Zalaran culture, the death of a high diplomat during negotiations is considered a sacred tragedy. It triggers a law older than our empire. And what law is that? A law that demands the immediate end of hostilities and the creation of permanent peace. Reyes stared. You're telling me your people would stop the war because their diplomat was assassinated? Yes. That makes no sense. It is an ancient cultural mechanism designed to prevent endless conflict. Reyes walked away from the window, pacing. This is insane. Taleth did not respond. You're asking me to commit murder, to save billions of lives. Yes. Reyes stopped pacing. And if I refuse? Taleth answered without hesitation. Then the war resumes within 2 years. Our military leadership is already preparing. Reyes felt a knot forming in his chest. How do I know you're telling the truth? Taleth reached slowly into a small device attached to its robe and projected a hologram. Dozens of classified Zalaran documents appeared in the air. Fleet mobilization orders. Weapon production increases. Strategic plans. Reyes' stomach dropped. This is real. Yes. Reyes looked back at the alien. You're sacrificing yourself. Yes. For peace. Yes. Reyes clenched his fists. You could tell the other diplomats. They would not believe me. And my government would recall me immediately. So your solution is to get a human soldier to shoot you? Yes. Reyes laughed bitterly. Do you know what happens to me after that? You will be imprisoned. Or executed. Yes. The alien's voice softened. You would become a symbol. The human who ended the war. Reyes shook his head slowly. Or the man who murdered a diplomat and destroyed peace. Taleth did not argue. The silence stretched between them. Reyes looked out at the stars again. He thought about the battlefields, the burning ships, the soldiers who never came home. How many lives would be saved? Reyes asked quietly. Taleth answered immediately. Billions. Reyes closed his eyes. Damn you. I understand your anger. Reyes took a long breath. Then he drew his sidearm. Taleth did not move. Its 3 violet eyes watched him calmly. You're sure about this? Reyes asked. Yes. No regrets. Only one. What? That our species learned peace so late. Reyes raised the weapon. His hands trembled. History will never know the truth, he said. That is acceptable. Reyes hesitated one final moment. Then he pulled the trigger. The shot echoed through the quiet corridor. Ambassador Taleth collapsed to the floor. Security alarms immediately began blaring across Concordia Station. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Within seconds, armed guards surrounded Reyes. He dropped the weapon without resistance. As they forced him to his knees, Reyes looked once more at the still form of the alien diplomat. 2 years later, the Zalaran Empire signed the Permanent Treaty of Concordia, ending the war forever. Historians would record the event as a tragic diplomatic assassination that shocked both civilizations into peace. Captain Daniel Reyes would spend the rest of his life in a military prison. But every night, when he looked through the small window of his cell and saw the stars, he remembered the alien who had asked for one impossible favor. And he wondered if the billions of lives saved had truly been worth the cost.